Yeah, I was in lessons, and I think it's one of my only regrets in life is just not sticking with the piano. But yeah,
Same here.
really?
My name's Adam. I appreciate you doing this.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Sure. So our podcast is about you and your journey in music, and we'll talk about your brand new record as well.
Okay, cool.
Sweet. So where were you born and raised?
I was actually born and raised in Los Angeles.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
One of the few. I was born and raised in San Diego, and there's not a whole lot of people that are actually
Oh,
born and raised in
nice.
Southern California. So that's cool.
I know. Wow. Yeah, we're very rare, right?
Right.
Everyone's a transplant. But yeah, I was born and raised in LA, kind of outside like the city, but I still claim it. So
Sure. Cool. That's awesome.
yeah.
What was it like growing up in LA? Busy?
Yeah, it was really fun. I think that when you're an LA kid, you kind of are naturally exposed to the entertainment industry at a very young age.
Mhm.
It For me, my mom's a entertainer. She's an actor and a singer, and she's a teacher, and just very much a part of Black Hollywood, and like just the entertainment
That's
industry
cool.
on that end. And so
Mhm.
I was just always going to events. I was always going to acting class. I was always going to dance class. Like it was just a natural part of my experience. So yeah,
Was
it
it
was
was
rare in that way.
Yeah, or is this something you're always interested in? Like, did you want to do what your mom was doing?
Yeah, I think like I think my earliest memory is seeing my mom sing and then wanting to replicate what I was seeing. So I remember taking the mic. One of my earliest memories is taking her microphone away from her and being like, I'm going to sing this song better than you. I think I can. So
That's
yeah,
cool.
I always saw her singing and practicing. We had this room in our house that was like a practice room kind of for her,
Mhm.
and it just was a part of her daily life, is singing and practicing and preparing. And yeah, so it was very natural to try to at
Sure.
least try. Yeah, exactly, because I saw it so much.
That's cool. Do you play an instrument?
I play a little piano. My dad's
Okay.
actually a piano player, but I wouldn't say that I'm good, so I don't
Okay.
claim it. Yeah.
Was he a piano? So was that something you tried early on? Were you in like lessons or anything?
Yeah, I was in lessons, and I think it's one of my only regrets in life is just not sticking with the piano. But yeah,
Same
as
here.
really,
Yeah,
when did
like
you start?
my dad and my sister can play really well, and I just never cared to learn. Like they
Yeah,
like were like, "Oh, do you want to do it?" I'm just like, "Nah."
right.
And now
Oh,
I'm
it's so
years later
frustrating.
being like, "Why didn't I just learn?"
Exactly. Like, why didn't I just do it? Yeah, I started, I think, taking lessons around 6, and then probably 2 years in, I convinced my parents that I didn't want to do it, and it wasn't a good decision. Or no, it was a good decision for me to quit.
Oh, okay. It wasn't a good
They
decision to keep going.
exactly. And they yeah, they listened to me. I remember it was a very tense conversation in our kitchen. I was just really adamant about not doing it anymore. They're like, okay, well, we can't force you to do this. So, and
Sure.
it's expensive, so it's probably better
Yeah,
for,
exactly. Did
for
you
us.
continue with like voice lessons or did you do like choir, chorus, musical theater, anything like that growing up?
All of that.
Oh,
Yeah, I
okay.
did. It's kind of like dorky kid in that way. Well, I went to arts high school as well in Los
Oh,
Angeles.
cool.
Yeah, so we did musical theater there. I was a dance major, but did musical theater, did choir in church, choir at school. And then I didn't really start taking like voice lessons seriously probably until high school, like towards the end of high school. Yeah.
Okay. And
Yeah.
in the arts high school though, was that something you had to apply to get into, or was it just something that you were interested in and you were able to go there?
Yeah. The arts high school was really it's still around. It's really amazing. It's basically a conservatory type of model that you can have during high school. So you do have to apply to get in and specialize in a particular art area. So whether it's dance, theater, music, visual arts, you have to do this kind of rigorous application process, and then they don't select that many kids to get in. So it was really cool experience. Yeah.
It must have been a big deal getting in, I would imagine.
It was. I remember
Yeah.
thinking it was the best day of my life when I got it.
That's really cool. Did you do like a
Amazing.
dance audition? Like
Yeah.
film yourself, or do you had to
Audition.
go in and like audition for people in person?
Yeah, it was all in person. Yeah.
Wow.
It was very Fame. If you saw that movie.
Oh
It was very
yeah.
much. Yeah. It was that vibe for
You're
sure.
in that movie, aren't you? Did I see that you're in that movie?
No, okay. Let me clarify. Like I don't want people to think I'm cooler than I am. So I definitely got cast and I was in the movie, but they cut me out of the final version. So it's on IMDb or whatever, but
that's where I
you
saw it. I
won't
was
see
like, oh
me.
wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, no,
Oh, so
it was great
that's
in the
too bad.
moment, but then I was cut out and I was a little bummed about that.
Sure.
So,
Oh, well, I'm
didn't
sorry. I'm
make the
sorry for
cut.
bringing up the past.
No, it's fine. I don't
Okay.
cry about it anymore. So
That's good. That's good. So
yeah.
after attending high school for dance, when were you always singing, and like when did songwriting come into your life?
That's a good question. I I kind of remember always songwriting. I think I wrote my first song, which was definitely a song about Jesus at
Mhm.
6. I
Wow.
was super young. And I always it was so natural to me. I didn't know it wasn't natural for everybody to write songs. Like that's how just innate it was.
Mhm.
And because my whole family sang, I always had people to kind of share what was in my mind and see if they wanted to sing it with me. So I have two older sisters and we always sang together as well.
Mhm.
And yeah, I just remember having melodies and lyrics always in my head, and whether or not, or whether I wrote them down or recorded them, um, that was kind of up in the air. But I always, yeah, I just, I always was either, I'm sorry, I was always either writing them down or recording them like into a recorder, cassette recorder
Mhm.
or something. And it was just very natural to me though. Like I, yeah. And I didn't get serious about it probably until college, actually. Like,
Oh, really? Was there something that
about
sparked
writing.
your interest, or like what? Why did you start taking it seriously?
I guess that was around the time where I got a computer,
Oh, okay.
my own computer. And naturally, when you go to college, and I had GarageBand, and I was like, have some ideas, maybe we could try a little producing. And I think I was just going through, I think I was, yeah, in love for the first time. And that just brings out so much, in
Sure.
you. And I was trying to process it. I remember in college writing a lot of songs about it. And then it just made sense to at least try to produce songs, these songs that I was writing. So then I
Mhm.
tried, and then that, to make a very long story short, basically those productions, very amateur productions that I did in college, I put up on MySpace. I'm
Oh,
really
okay.
aging myself.
No, I I remember MySpace. Like I was in college in MySpace days.
Yeah, right. So yeah, that's kind of like how it all started for me in terms of being considering myself or dabbling as a solo artist in writing and producing. So
Mhm.
yeah.
Okay. And then when you were
Mhm.
putting your songs on MySpace, I read something that somebody grabbed your attention, right? Or got the attention of you and contacted you via MySpace?
Yeah, a few people did. TokiMonsta did. She was also kind of like just doing her thing on MySpace, had a lot of original production. I mean, all her production's original, but a lot of her production. And I remember I remember getting her message and being like, oh, this is really cool. Like she seems like she knows what she's doing. and and then I remember my first kind of producer who produced songs like just for me, I met through MySpace. I met my first manager through MySpace. Yeah, so I made a lot of like kind of fruitful connections through MySpace back in the day
That's
that ended up
incredible.
being, yeah, like a part of my like a big part of my journey, I guess. So,
Yeah, because TokiMonsta, I mean, the first one you named, that's what I was thinking of when I
yeah,
asked you the question. I
yeah,
mean, she's got a huge following, right?
yeah. She's incredible.
I mean,
Yeah, she I mean, just really, she's really obviously talented and good at what she does. But what I recognized early on, when we connected and when I met her back in the day, was just she already had a sense of how she wanted to market herself, and her branding was already what it like. I mean, it's evolved since then, but it was
mhm.
already very cohesive and very clear. And I thought it was compelling. So I was kind of like, wow, this is a this is someone I can learn from. I think I had that in my mind as
Mhm.
well. And the fact that she was a woman doing it and
Mhm.
producing, and that's kind of what I wanted to do in a way, but I also wanted to sing. Um, yeah, I thought it can be a fruitful relationship. And it was, and it ended up being just very organic how kind of our collaborations happened and rolled out, and we're still friends now. So
Very
mhm,
cool. And what
mhm.
was the first like success that you saw? Like a little, you know, like a song going, getting a bunch of streams. Like what was the first success you had? Do you remember?
It was with Toki. It
Oh, it
was
was okay.
yeah, we she released, well, she sent me some demos, I remember, some instrumentals, and I ended up writing in what I thought was probably just demoing them
Hmm.
in my at home, like in my computer. I didn't even have a mic at the time, so I was like literally singing into my computer.
Really, like the Mac mic, or
Yeah,
like
yeah.
on the laptop. That's
Absolutely.
rad.
No, it's insane. So those two songs that ended up making it on her EP were literally those demo same vocals, Darkest Dim and Little Pleasures. And those are kind of like
Whoa.
two of her most popular songs still to this
Yeah.
day. So yeah, those are
Oh
like the two
wow.
songs
I
that
didn't
kind of,
realize
I
that
was
was
like, oh
that
wow,
early in
this
your
is happening.
career. Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
yeah. Super, super.
Okay.
That was 2000. I think those came out in 2012 or 2011. So yeah, it was a long time ago. Yeah, almost
Wow.
10 years ago. Yeah.
Yeah. So you record the vocals on your Mac microphone, your computer microphone.
Yeah.
They produce them, and then what? They just start taking off on MySpace, or were they up on SoundCloud? Like, do you remember where you
N-
started seeing the?
No, she actually was with Brain Feeder at the time. So yeah, they released it properly, an entire EP. In
Okay.
those, I think there's 5 songs on the EP, and those 2 songs were
Were
a part
the
of it.
big ones?
So
Okay.
yeah, yeah. And those are
Wow.
kind of like the singles too. Yeah.
So that kind of
So
validated you as a singer, I would imagine.
Um, I guess so. I mean, it was cool to see. It still blows my mind. People still respond to those songs and still write me about those songs and still say like how those songs have touched them in some way. And yeah, it blows my mind. And I don't know if I felt validated at the time, honestly, because I was still, I mean, I'm still trying to figure out the music industry, but I was so new. It was so early, and I was so new and naive towards how everything worked.
Uh-huh.
So it was, yeah, it was definitely a cool moment, and I was excited, and I think I was more just like, okay, well, what do I need to do now? And how do I get my solo material out? And who
Hmm.
am I going to work with on my solo material? I was still really trying to figure all that out, which took a really, really long time, to say the least, to get that side kind of
When did
going. But
yeah, when did that kind of come together for you?
in my opinion, it came together for me in 2000, like 16, 2017. I finally met my producer, who I still work with to this day. He to me is my Quincy. Like
Oh, okay.
I'm obsessed with him. I think we kind of are a match in music. And before I met him, it's similar to dating in that you're like meeting with a lot of these producers, and kind of a lot of trial and error, and a lot of, yeah, first dates, meeting like first sessions where you try to write a song, see if there's a vibe there, see if there's chemistry there. I'm really it's pretty easy for me to, when I first meet someone, to vibe enough with that I kind of can create something, but that doesn't mean that's going to lead to a fruitful relationship or
Sure.
for collaboration. So I just kind of got to the point where I was meeting a lot of people, but I hadn't had that, like, okay, this is the person where I think we can really grow together and we can really spend time in developing a unique sound that is really unique to me. So when I met Chris Hartz, who is out of LA as well, who's also an LA native, I just had that feeling. I was like, this is good. Like we should do something. We're good for each other.
Yeah.
This is it. Yeah. So,
That's cool.
yeah.
And what was the first record you guys put out together?
A song called On the Line.
Okay.
Yeah. And that was in 2016 when we put that out. Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
And from there, you just kept putting out records. I know you have the song Whitney, which is huge online.
Yeah. We did Whitney together. Since pretty much since then, he's been my go-to creative partner, and we put out a lot of singles. He co-produced an EP that I did in 2017. A lot of singles since then, and then the new album, he produced the whole thing. So
wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm curious to know where you were at when the world shut down and how that affected this new record, or how was this done, or did you record it over the course of the last year and a half? Where were you when the world shut down?
Yeah, where was I? I was in LA.
Okay.
Yeah, me and Chris actually started recording and writing songs for the album in 2018.
Oh,
so
wow,
we were
okay.
kind of like super deep into the process. I had released, as I said, an EP that did pretty well in 2017, and was really just trying to focus on touring after that was out, and any opportunities I was getting, I was taking. So I did some national touring, and I did a little bit of international touring. That was really awesome and great. And then I stopped that. I think the last tour I went on was maybe mid 2018. So once that was kind of over, I got in the studio to just try to work on like a full length album. And yeah, me and Chris got to the point, I want to say in mid 2019, where we had a version of the album ready to at least show some people, show like my team and stuff. And when we got to that point, we were getting some feedback and like some mixed feedback, and basically we're like, okay, we're not totally done with this, but maybe we're a little stuck, or maybe we're a little bit unsure of how to wrap it up or what we need. I think a lot of artists have these like ridiculous conversations, or not ridiculous, but just realistic conversations with people that they're working with, where they're like, this is great, but we need this, or we need this one kind of song, or one more song like this. And I was kind of at that point. So we took a little bit of a break and started just working on I think we were working on a live show again. And then the world shut down. So I was in LA, and very discouraged, because when we went into lockdown, I was not only, just sad about that, but it was the whole music industry at that time kind of shut down. So we didn't know when live shows were coming back. That's, a big way, a lot of that I make money, and that a lot of my peers make money, primarily just through like live events, live show opportunities. So that was kind of rough. And then I had this body of work that was almost finished, but I didn't really have a plan for how to release it and when to release it. And yeah, I was just super discouraged. So basically, I want to say in the summer, kind of after the intensity of the June of 2020 that we can all remember.
Right.
June and July were just I don't
Way
even
a
know. Like
lot.
those were the most, yeah, most intense like months of probably many of our lives.
Mm-hmm.
I was really just sick of being on social media. I was sick of just everything. And I remember having a moment where I was listening to a visual artist that I really love talk about her experience in this point of her career that she came to, where she had to really decide whether she was going to portray herself in the same way, or if she was going to kind of reinvent herself and in that journey, in that process. And she really talked about being the difference between presenting herself as a victim versus presenting herself as a hero. And she took it quite literally and ended up presenting herself as a superhero. And that talk and how she was just so kind of like this tough love
Mm-hmm.
like mentality behind what she was saying really struck me, because I realized that even though me and a lot of people were having a hard time, just from the circumstances in the world, that there was no reason that I needed to stop or stay like stuck in a victim mentality.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of used that moment to reignite my my just desire to get this music out, and then a desire to portray myself just really differently.
Mm-hmm.
So I ended up getting back in the studio, writing maybe 4 more songs for the album, adding some interludes, and then before I knew it, the album was done, and it was like fully done in January of 2021. So
Wow.
that's the long story that you can edit.
No, no, I love that story. And then
So that
so
was basically it.
the or the new you is Madam Gold. Is that the persona that you kind of
Yeah,
discovered throughout that process of after you listened to that talk?
yeah, basically. It's weird. I don't know if you can relate to this, but when I have these really special moments, I call them downloads, like
Oh,
artistic downloads,
I like
where it's
that.
kind of an undeniable feeling that you get, that you need to either pursue something or someone, a relationship, an idea, and that you have to do it now. That is
Mm-hmm.
exactly what I got when I was listening to her. And I was already familiar with her work. I was already inspired by her work. I'm inspired by a lot of visual artists, especially like Black women who do visual art. And
Mm-hmm.
so I just had that moment where it was like her decision needed to be my decision, I guess, in this way. Like I
Right.
I was at a similar crossroads in my career where I had to make a decision to either be the Gavin that I was really comfortable being, or save myself per se and become a superhero. And why I chose Madam Gold as that visual vehicle, like why I chose that name, why I chose that as my alter ego, um, was because when I thought about like the Gavin that I wanted to be, I don't know why that was the name that came to me. When I think of Madam Gold, I think of someone that is like really confident and strong and like and resilient. I don't know if this is cheesy, but this is like genuinely what I thought. Like I was like, wow, I can feel really discouraged, but I feel like if I take on this Madam Gold character, like all of a sudden I'm gonna stand up straighter and I'm gonna walk in a room and have big hair and just be like, I'm here,
Right. What
look at me. Like I think Madam has a lot of different connotations to it, but to me that that implies like a really badass, like
I was
strong,
just gonna say that. Like when I hear
feminine
Madam, I
energy.
just think of like a badass woman coming into the
Yeah.
room. Like, oh wait, everybody look, that's Madam, that's Madam Gold. Like, pay attention. You know what I
Yes,
mean?
yes. Oh, I'm
Like,
glad. Yeah, then you get it too. Like that's exactly what I thought of. And then gold, it was just kind of roll off the tongue, a natural thing. And I had already been
powerful,
like,
kind of. Another
yeah,
powerful thing, if you have the gold, you
sure.
have, it's just it. What I like when the Madam, because yeah, like you said, that you can take that a certain way, a different way.
Mm-hmm.
But when
Mm-hmm.
I hear Madam, I just think of like, okay, this is somebody like an elite person or a powerful person that I'm speaking with. Oh, you're a madam. Okay. I need to like
Yeah,
respect you. I'm sorry. Like, you
sure.
know what I mean?
Good. I'm
Yeah.
glad you think that. Yeah, that totally. That's what came to me as well. So it was kind of, it was weird and random, but at the same time, it made so much sense because again, I was already so deep into this writing process
Mhm.
and the original, my original ideas for the visuals and even the name of the album was just so focused on me as like this sad, like depressed version of me.
Mhm.
And not that it can't be um explored or cherished or just, I don't know, exposed. I think obviously you hear it on the album if you listen to it. Like I am pretty vulnerable on it, but
Mhm.
I don't think that your story has to stop there. So I thought it was really important for me to say, like, yeah, I'm being honest, and I have had to overcome a lot internally, but I I'm using all of that pain to become my superpower, and
Mhm.
I'm sharing it, and now I'm stronger because of it. So therefore I'm saving myself and I'm my own superhero. And that's
Yeah,
the end of the story.
I
Then the
love that.
story isn't like Gavin is just sad,
Yeah.
And I
Right.
felt like I was kind of there before I had that download moment from
Mhm.
that artist talk. And by the way, the artist, I love giving credit to her because she's been so wonderful. Since I've been talking about her, we have like a somewhat of a relationship now, which is awesome. But her name is Renee Cox, and if you aren't familiar with her work, like go look it up. It's
I was
super
gonna check it
inspiring.
out. I
Yeah,
wanted to figure out who this was. I was gonna ask
yeah,
you. So cool.
she's amazing.
Renee
Yeah.
Cox.
Hmm.
Awesome. Did you have most of the record finished before you listened to her talk and kind of got this new outlook? And did it
Um,
change the album at all?
yeah, no, I had a lot of the record kind of finished. But it did change it in that I didn't it was like I guess the easiest way to explain is I had a lot of songs, but I didn't have a necessarily a through line or a clear direction
Hmm.
to have to bring everything
Like
together
a
as like
cohesive album. Okay.
yeah, a cohesive body of work. I think naturally, even though sonically we explore so many different genres on the album,
Hmm.
because I have one producer and we are also co-writing together. Like there is somewhat of a through line with the sound of it. So it wasn't so much like it was all over the place in that way. It was just with the intention. I think like any body of work, especially an album today, I really respond to albums that have a clear intention. And I can kind of tell when there's not. I think right now we're like in such a mode of, um, just consuming as much music as possible. And a lot of people make albums that are not, they maybe just don't have the time to put that type of intention
Right. Or it's a
and
bunch of singles that they just kind of
message
throw together into like an EP or
into
something.
EP,
Yeah.
sure. And I really wanted it to have a foundation of a clear message,
Hmm.
so that no matter what song you hear, no matter how it kind of like resonates with you or what particular song resonates with you, that when you hopefully see the imagery behind it, if you watch one of the videos, if you read an Instagram post, that you at least know what my intention was with
Hmm.
it, and hopefully be inspired to just become your own superhero
I like
from
that.
it. That was, yeah, that's my goal for
That's
sure.
really cool. And there's something to be said about a full body of work, a full album, and being able to sit there and like listen to it through, and like you said, have that beginning, middle, and end kind of element to it. I
Yeah,
still am a huge fan of listening to a whole record all the way through instead of
me
like, oh,
too,
I'm
me
gonna punch
too.
through number three, the single there, and then the next single at number seven. Or there's a reason why I've said this before, but there's a reason why you put certain songs in the order they are there. You have the first song there for a reason,
Absolutely.
and the fifth song there for a reason, and the last song there for a reason.
Yeah, the track list is super important. The
Mhm.
sequencing, sorry,
Sure,
sequencing.
sequencing.
That's what I
That's
meant. It's really
yeah.
important. We took a lot of time to figure that out too, but yeah, I love it. I'm at the end of the day, I'm just a fan, of
Mhm.
music and a fan of other artists. And I I'm thinking about their why, and like as just a fan. So I try
Mhm.
to put myself in other people's shoes when it comes to my work and be like, okay, what might what might work? What might be an interesting listening experience, even if they're not familiar, even if they're not into this genre per se. Like, how can I tell a story that might bring somebody in?
Mhm. Mhm. Definitely, definitely.
Mm.
And I think sequencing is something that a lot of like listeners don't really think about too much when it comes to why. I mean,
Yeah,
I'm sure you spent a lot of time figuring out which song is going to go where.
we did. It took so
Yeah.
much time.
Yeah. And it's like
We
something that maybe
changed our
people just
minds
take
so
for
many
granted. They're
times.
like, oh, well, yeah, it's number 3. I like number 5.
Exactly.
It's like,
But ideally, it's the sequencing is done so well that people are kind of tricked into thinking like, oh, this was just a natural, easy flow
oh,
thing,
right, right, exactly.
right? Like, oh, they
I
didn't.
guess,
This is just so organic. Like,
I guess that's the
didn't have to
goal,
think about
right?
it. That's so the goal. I watched, perfect example. I watched Ali Wong recently. My friend took me to her show in New
Oh,
York,
she is
and
hilarious.
so funny. And we were so impressed with her sequencing of her story and her
Hmm.
jokes. It wasn't, even though she had bits, they were so woven together and so fluid and just easy to listen to
Hmm.
that yeah, I wasn't thinking about like track one, two, three. Like it was
Right.
a whole just cohesive, fluid body of work,
Yeah, she
just
gets
like
to
an
the
album.
end
Like
and
it
you're
was
like, oh,
wonderful.
wow, that all made total
That all
sense.
made
Like, yeah,
sense.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
cool.
That's ideal. I
I've never
think.
seen her live, but her work is hilarious. I mean, like the stuff she's written
She
for TV and even her jokes and stuff, her specials and stuff are really
Oh
funny.
my God, she was so funny. She's amazing.
I love the special she has. I think it's on Netflix where she's pregnant.
Yeah, Baby
Oh man,
Cobra.
yeah,
Yes.
Baby Cobra. That one's so good.
She is out of control in the best way. Yeah,
That's so
she's great.
cool. You spoke earlier about live shows and kind of, that's a big way artists make money and you make money. And is
Yeah.
that something that you've been able to do yet since the pandemic has kind of
No, I haven't.
trickled out a little bit? But I guess it's coming. I mean, knock on wood that it's not going to
I
get nearly
know.
as bad as it was. But anyway.
Yeah. It's still, I guess the pulse is that it's happening, but I think people, even if tours are confirmed, are still a little bit nervous and hoping that nothing gets canceled
Mhm.
or whatnot. In LA, it's kind of like, for example, we need to still wear masks inside. Everybody has to show like a vaccination card for all these different venues. So yeah, it's happening. I know we're planning on going out, I think at the end of October into early November. That will be like my first venture back into live to
Wow.
live shows. So yeah, I'm nervous. I almost feel like I have to relearn how to do this all again.
Yeah.
It's just been so long, and I've done some live streaming, but that's so different. It's hard to even compare because when you're live and there's an audience there, yeah, just it's like theater. Everything's you're exposed in a totally different way, and
Mhm.
you have this beautiful exchange between like their reaction and then how you respond to that, and it's so wonderful. But yeah, I'm kind of nervous about it, but I'm excited.
That's really cool. So it's October, you said. What are you just doing? What, West Coast? Are you doing the whole country or?
Yeah, no, I'm gonna start off with just the West Coast,
Mhm.
and then probably wait to do East Coast. I'm very sensitive to the cold, so
Well, you're from LA. I get it.
I'm like, "Well, can we push East Coast maybe to
Uh,
warmer weather?"
sure.
Yeah, so that's the plan right
Yeah, you
now.
probably don't want to come out to the East Coast and November,
December.
December. Right. My family and I just moved from San Diego 6 months ago to Nashville. And it's like, that was a shocker. I was like, wow, it's 29 degrees in the morning.
Oh
Now,
my
I mean, right
goodness.
now it's like in the 90s and humid, but when we first got here in February, it was freezing.
Yeah,
I'm used
that's
to like
not cool.
70 and partly cloudy. What is this, like 30 degrees? But I feel you on the sensitive to the cold, but that's exciting that you get to, play some shows coming up, and the record's awesome. And thank you so much for talking with me today.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
I have one more question before I let you go, Gavin. I want to know if you have any advice for aspiring artists.
Oh gosh. I guess I would say the number one thing I tell myself is and I would say to anyone else that's has the desire or the conviction, rather, it has to be probably a bit more of a desire. It has to be like a conviction that you that you need to make music, that you need to do this. If you have that, then I would say don't wait for anybody's validation in order to move forward with what you have in your heart. So if that means writing a song and finding a producer, if that means doing a live show, like just don't wait for somebody to validate you before you actually pursue it, because you could be waiting your whole life. Nobody's got time for that. So, yeah, that's my biggest thing. And then I always say, like, use what you have in your hand. Like, I started making songs on GarageBand. It's a pretty easy tool and accessible tool that a lot of people have access to. It's a great place to start. If you don't have a computer, but you have access to a piano or have access to a guitar, like there's just always something that you can do if you have that conviction. So I would, use what you have in your hand. If you just have a notebook and a pen, then start writing your thoughts down, your dreams down, can turn into a song. Many times that has happened to me. So yeah, I would say those two things are my advice, because they can get you really far. You never know.